The Seven Keys of Influence, Archie's Enchanted Journey. Prologue. In the enchanted kingdom of echoes, young Archie embarks on an adventure to uncover the seven keys of influence. Guided by a wise owl and a magical map, he travels through mystical lands, learning powerful lessons about persuasion and leadership. Key 1. The Power of Reciprocity. Archie arrived at the Golden Market, a dazzling place where merchants exchanged goods, not just for gold, but also for kindness. Stalls lined the streets, overflowing with colorful fabrics, fragrant spices, and sparkling jewels. But what fascinated Archie most was how people treated each other. Whenever someone gave a gift, they soon received something in return. As he wandered through the marketplace, he noticed an elderly merchant struggling to lift a heavy crate of golden apples. Without hesitation, Archie rushed to help. "Thank you, young traveler," the merchant said with a warm smile. "In this market, when you give, you always receive." Moments later, a fruit vendor, who had seen Archie's act of kindness, handed him a juicy pomegranate. "A gift for your generosity," he said. Archie was amazed. His small effort had created a chain reaction of goodwill. As he continued exploring, he saw a struggling beggar and shared his pomegranate with her. A bystander, moved by Archie's generosity, offered him a fine silk scarf in return. Everywhere he looked, he saw the same pattern: acts of kindness coming back in unexpected ways. Then, in the center of the market, a golden pedestal shimmered. As Archie approached, an inscription appeared: "True giving is never wasted." At that moment, the first key of influence materialized in his hands. Archie realized that generosity and kindness weren't just good deeds, they were forces that made the world turn. With his first lesson learned, he set off to uncover the next key. Key 2. Commitment and Consistency. Archie ventured into the labyrinth of promises, a vast maze made of towering stone walls covered in ancient writings. Each inscription was a promise once made, some fulfilled, glowing brightly, while others faded, forgotten by those who had broken their word. At the entrance stood a tall figure in silver armor, the guardian of vows. "Only those who honor their promises may pass," the guardian declared, his voice deep and unwavering. As Archie stepped inside, he noticed a knight pacing nervously. The knight, Sir Cedric, had vowed long ago to return a lost sword to its rightful owner, but fear and doubt had kept him from completing his mission. "If I return the sword now, they may not even remember my promise," Sir Cedric sighed. Archie placed a hand on the knight's shoulder. "A true knight's word is his honor. The longer you wait, the weaker your promise becomes. But if you fulfill it, trust will be restored." Encouraged, Sir Cedric gripped the sword and followed Archie through the twisting corridors of the labyrinth. As they navigated the maze, the fading inscriptions on the walls began to glow brighter, proof that keeping one's word could restore lost integrity. Finally, they reached a great stone door. Sir Cedric knocked, and an old blacksmith opened it. Seeing the sword, his eyes widened. "You remembered," he whispered, touched by the knight's loyalty. As Sir Cedric handed over the sword, the labyrinth trembled. A hidden pedestal rose from the ground, and on it lay the second key of influence. Engraved in gold were the words, "A promise kept builds trust." Archie smiled. Another lesson learned. True commitment shapes who we are. With the second key in hand, he pressed forward on his journey. Key 3. Social proof. Archie arrived at the Mirror City, a place unlike any he had seen before. The streets shimmered as if made of glass, and every building was covered in reflective surfaces. As he walked through the town, he noticed something strange. Everyone copied each other's actions. If one person yawned, soon the whole street was yawning. If someone pointed to the sky, the entire crowd tilted their heads up, searching for something that wasn't there. It was as if the people had forgotten how to think for themselves. At the city's center stood the Hall of Reflections, where a grand celebration was about to begin. Archie watched as the mayor, a tall man dressed in silver robes, entered the stage and raised an empty goblet into the air. "Behold, the finest golden nectar in the kingdom," the mayor declared. The crowd immediately cheered, lifting their own empty cups and pretending to drink. No one questioned it. Archie frowned. "Why does everyone pretend?" he asked a young girl nearby. She shrugged. "If everyone else believes it, then it must be true." Determined to break the illusion, Archie stepped onto the stage and held up an actual goblet filled with water. "But this," he said loudly, "is real." The crowd fell silent. A few people looked at their empty cups and hesitated. Then, one by one, they began to laugh at their own foolishness. They realized they had been blindly following without questioning. The Hall of Reflections trembled, and in its place appeared a shining pedestal. On it lay the third key of influence, glowing with these words: "Follow, but think for yourself." Archie smiled as he took the key. He had learned another powerful lesson. People naturally follow the crowd, but true wisdom comes from thinking independently. With the key secured, he continued his journey to uncover the next great secret of influence. Key 4. Liking and friendship. Archie traveled deep into the heart of the Valley of Harmony, a land where the air seemed to hum with an invisible tension. As he wandered through the valley, he noticed two villages perched on opposite hills. On one side stood the clan of the Silver Wolf, fierce warriors known for their strength. On the other, the clan of the Golden Falcon, skilled artisans who prided themselves on their wisdom. Despite living so close, the two clans refused to speak to each other. The tension between them was palpable, and every attempt at communication had been met with cold stares and harsh words. At the center of the valley stood the Queen of Accord, a gentle ruler who had long worked to bring peace between the clans. She saw Archie and invited him to her palace, nestled among the trees. "Archie," the queen said, "these clans have fought for generations, believing that they are too different to understand one another. But I know the truth. People come together when they recognize their similarities, not their differences." The queen shared her wisdom. Kindness and respect are the bridges that connect us. If you can help the clans see that they are more alike than they think, you will create a lasting bond. With newfound determination, Archie set out to find a way to unite the two clans. He met with the leaders of both sides, inviting them to a shared feast in the valley. Though they hesitated, they agreed, each clan believing the other might finally concede. At the feast, Archie shared stories from his travels, tales of bravery, wisdom, and kindness. He spoke of how both clans, despite their differences, had the same desire: to protect and nurture their people. Slowly, the warriors and artisans began to listen, realizing how much they had in common. By the end of the evening, the tension had lifted. The leaders of the two clans stood side by side, laughing and sharing tales of their own. It was then that the fourth key of influence appeared, glowing softly in the moonlight. Carved into the key were the words, "True bonds grow from respect and kindness." Archie smiled, knowing he had helped the clans realize that true friendship and lasting connections are built on understanding and respect. With the fourth key in hand, he moved forward on his quest, ready to unlock the next great lesson in his journey. Key 5. Authority and Wisdom. Archie arrived at the towering castle of the wise king, where golden banners waved proudly in the wind. Inside the grand hall, nobles and advisors debated matters of the kingdom. At the center sat King Alden, a ruler known for his wisdom, yet something felt wrong. The people of the castle whispered about the king's most trusted advisor, Lord Malgar, a man who spoke with great confidence and commanded fear. Whenever the king hesitated, Malgar would step in, making decisions in his place. The nobles followed him, not out of respect, but because they feared his wrath. Archie watched carefully. Something about Malgar's words didn't seem right. He spoke in riddles, using long, complicated phrases that sounded wise but meant nothing. The people nodded, afraid to question him. Determined to reveal the truth, Archie requested an audience with the king. "Your Majesty," Archie said, "wisdom and power are not the same. A true leader earns respect by guiding others, not by making them fear him." The king frowned. "But Malgar knows so much. His words are clever, and the court follows him." Archie had an idea. He turned to Malgar and said, "A wise ruler must understand the laws of nature. Tell me, what makes the sun rise in the west?" Malgar straightened. "Ah, a complicated question indeed. The sun's journey is a metaphor for—" Archie interrupted. "But the sun doesn't rise in the west. It rises in the east." The room fell silent. The nobles exchanged glances, realizing that Malgar had been pretending to be wise, using confusion to maintain control. The king stood, his expression firm. "True wisdom is clear and honest. Archie, you have shown me the difference between knowledge and deception." With a wave of his hand, the king dismissed Malgar from his court. As the false advisor left, a golden pedestal rose beside the throne. Upon it lay the fifth key of influence, glowing with these words, "Wisdom commands respect, not fear." Archie took the key with a grateful heart. He had learned that true authority comes not from speaking loudly or using fear, but from knowledge, honesty, and guiding others with wisdom. With the fifth key secured, he set off once more, eager to uncover the next lesson in his journey. Key 6. Scarcity and Value. Archie arrived at the Garden of Treasures, a breathtaking land where flowers of every color and shape filled the air with sweet fragrances. But something was wrong. The villagers were arguing. At the center of the garden grew a single moonbloom, a rare silver flower that only bloomed once a year. The villagers fought over who should own it, believing that whoever had it would be the most important person in the land. "The moonbloom is the rarest of all flowers," shouted one villager. "If I own it, I will be respected," argued another. Archie watched as the villagers ignored the thousands of other beautiful flowers around them, obsessed only with the one they could not have. He turned to the village elder and asked, "Why do they desire the moonbloom so much?" The elder sighed. "Because it is rare. They believe its scarcity makes it the most valuable flower, but they have forgotten the beauty of the rest." Archie had an idea. He gathered the villagers and said, "I will give the moonbloom to the one who can bring me the most valuable flower from the garden." The villagers rushed into the fields, searching for the rarest blooms. They returned with golden roses, sapphire lilies, and glowing fire petals, each claiming their flower was more valuable than the rest. Archie smiled. "Do you see now? Every flower is special, not because it is rare, but because of what it means to you." The villagers looked around, realizing that they had overlooked the beauty of what was already theirs. The fighting stopped and harmony returned to the garden. As Archie turned back to the elder, a shimmering key appeared at the base of the moonbloom. It bore the words, "Value is not in rarity, but in meaning." Archie picked up the sixth key of influence, understanding that true value isn't about how rare something is, but how much it matters to us. With a grateful heart, he continued his journey, ready to uncover the final key. Final challenge, all keys combined. Archie finally reached the Grand Palace, a towering structure of gold and crystal at the heart of the Kingdom of Echoes. In his hands, he held the 6 shimmering keys of influence, each one representing a powerful lesson he had learned. But one final test awaited him. At the palace gates stood a massive stone door covered in ancient symbols. A royal guard approached and spoke. "To enter, you must prove your wisdom. Use the 7 keys to unlock the final mystery. Only those who understand the harmony of influence may pass." Archie frowned. 7 keys? He had only 6. But before he could ask, the guard stepped aside, revealing a group of worried townspeople. The Grand Palace was in chaos. Disputes had broken out. Merchants argued over trade, knights quarreled over leadership, and scholars debated whose ideas were the most important. No one was listening to each other. Archie took a deep breath. This was the final test. He had to use everything he had learned to bring order. The test of influence. First, he used reciprocity. He helped a struggling merchant carry his goods, and in return, others began assisting each other. The tension eased. True giving is never wasted. Next, he applied commitment and consistency. He reminded the knights of their sacred oaths to protect, not quarrel. Ashamed, they shook hands, restoring unity. A promise kept builds trust. He then used social proof, pointing out that wise leaders do not follow blindly, but make thoughtful choices. The scholars began listening instead of shouting. Follow, but think for yourself. To the arguing merchants, he applied liking and friendship, encouraging them to find common ground. They discovered they had much in common and agreed to work together. True bonds grow from respect and kindness. Next, he invoked authority and wisdom, advising the king's council that true leadership is not about power, but about guiding others with knowledge. The king nodded, realizing his advisors needed to listen more than command. Wisdom commands respect, not fear. For the traders hoarding rare goods, he reminded them of scarcity and value, teaching them that true worth comes not from rarity, but meaning. They began to appreciate their resources instead of fighting over them. Value is not in rarity, but in meaning. Finally, as peace returned, the seventh key appeared in a burst of light. It bore the words, "Influence is strongest when used with wisdom and kindness." With all 7 keys glowing in his hands, Archie approached the great stone door. The symbol shifted, forming a single message. Influence is not control. It is the power to inspire, guide, and unite. As Archie read the words aloud, the door swung open, revealing the Hall of Legends. Inside, the king stood, smiling. "You have passed the test," the king declared. "You understand that true influence is not about forcing others, but about inspiring them to think, act, and grow." He placed a silver medallion around Archie's neck. "From this day forward, you shall be known as the messenger of persuasion, a guide for those who seek wisdom and understanding." As the kingdom celebrated, Archie looked at the keys one last time. His journey had taught him that influence is a gift, and when used wisely, it can change the world. With a heart full of gratitude, he stepped forward, ready for new adventures, knowing that the true power of persuasion lay not in the keys, but in the way he used them. Moral and conclusion. Archie's journey teaches that true influence is not about manipulation, but about responsibility, respect, and wisdom. Reciprocity, give sincerely, and kindness will return. Commitment, honor your word to build trust. Social proof, follow wisely, not blindly. Liking, build relationships with respect. Authority, seek wisdom over power. Scarcity, appreciate what truly matters. Balance, use influence for good, not control. Archie returns home, knowing that real leadership comes from helping others and using persuasion ethically. His adventure is a lesson for all. Influence is not about control. It's about guiding others toward the right path.